Guys, today we installed our 11.8 inch Tesla display in this Lexus GS300. The job came up immaculate, really happy with the system. The screen features Apple CarPlay, wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, on top of all of the Android features, which we do go through later in the video. So today we're gonna go through the complete installation. If you have any questions regarding the installation, drop a comment below, but otherwise, let's get right into it. All right guys, so before we start, I wanna show you the product. Here is the screen itself. One thing I really like about this is the buttons look exactly like the original equipment. So it sort of looks in place. It is a big screen. As you would have seen a moment ago, this car has the factory display. Looks like about an 8-inch screen. This is a lot bigger. With the screen, we've got some new mounting hardware. So this will just run on the side of the unit and then mount in the factory position, which we will look at when we remove the original head unit. And lastly, we've got a bag of wiring. This has all of the plugs, all the connections. This is going to retain your factory camera, parking sensors, amplifier. This has pretty sure it has a Mark Levinson sound system. And we've got the CAN bus interface right here. Steering wheel controls, all that stuff is all going to work. And yeah, without further ado, let's look at disassembly. All right guys, disassembly is going to start right here. And what we need to do is first get your keys out, undo the shifter. Okay, pop that away. We're going to grab a plastic panel removal tool and we're going to pry the panel up. Okay, just like that on both sides. Okay, clips might be tight right here, but that's fine. And then we're going to come out. So what we might need to do is press that shift lock. Make sure the handbrake's on. Get the gear selector out of the way so that we can slide this back. Make a liar out of me. Okay, when you're pulling this up and out, there's also this little panel here. You can remove that. It might make your life easier. I will confirm that right now. Yep, definitely does. Okay, so what was happening as we were coming up and out, it was getting sort of stuck around this area right here. So all we had to do, this panel here, just use our plastic panel, pop it down, and then pull it straight back and out. Okay, so just save that. Okay, now that can be set away. Okay, next up, there's 2 screws. Right here, you can see one. There's another one on the other side. You're gonna unscrew those, and then these side panels are gonna go out and back towards you. Okay, next up, on both sides of the unit, there's a 10mm right here, and there's a 10mm right there. So 2, and 2 on the other side as well. We'll get those removed, and then basically all we need to do is grab the back of the radio and start pulling it back and out. Now we've got those 4 screws removed, what we can do is pull on the back of the unit, and it's going to release, and then what we're going to use just to help it out is a plastic panel removal tool. Now just be careful, because in a lot of these Lexuses, this area right here gets very brittle. It's in perfect condition right now. We need to leave it that way. Also, if you have any CDs in the CD changer, you can go ahead and remove those. Okay, if you're lucky, you can actually wiggle it right from underneath and get the whole thing out without having to use a little panel thing. I did right at the beginning, but I felt like I was already putting too much pressure on there, so I decided to just pull, and voila. Okay, there's going to be a lot of plugs behind here, so just be careful, and also be careful right here. Okay, so get that right out of the way. Now from here, what we need to do is grab our wiring harness. So we can grab the main one out, okay, can leave the secondary stuff for now. And what we're going to do is basically locate each of these plugs and then neaten up the loom, pretty much. If you don't find a mate for every single plug, that's fine as well. Just make sure you check all of them. Okay, so we've already found one, nice. Okay, we've got this cable right here. Now what that's gonna do, that's gonna plug into the OBD port, and it's gonna go, so you've got one cable here labeled OBD, nice and easy, plug it in. Then that's gonna run over to the OBD port, okay? So it's plenty of room here, just for now, to get it through. And then we can look at neatening that up and running that towards the end. Our CAN bus interface, go ahead and plug that in. Okay, so once your CAN bus is plugged in, there is another plug coming off this loom right here, and that fits right into there. So you can plug that in and just test with that, okay? Okay, now with all this stuff plugged in, what we need to do is neaten the loom up, one, okay? We want this to look really nice. And two, we can start looking at some of the other parts that need to be installed. So one is a GPS antenna. You want this really nice and high on the dash. Okay, it's important that you pick up GPS. Okay, those vents, there's a tab right here. You can actually pull on the tab and bring those vents right out. And what we need to do, you don't even need to unplug them because there's a lot of tape there on the loom. Just set them safely. And what you can do is mount the GPS right up there. So it's nice and high. And then we can quickly put that back in so it doesn't get damaged. Okay, just like that. So this GPS antenna is now mounted on top of the vent, really high. It's going to pick up great GPS reception. This is back in. It's all plugged in, obviously, because we didn't unplug it. And then what we can do with this GPS antenna is run it to where our radio is going to be, bundle this up, and we'll tape it up and get this loom looking nice. But we're not there just yet. We've got a couple more things to do. Microphone. So microphone and USB. Both of these things, we don't really show you how or where to run because it's totally up to you. So you can go ahead and stick this microphone on the dash if you want. You can stick it wherever you want, basically. It's completely up to you. Have it totally hidden, right, and off you go. We usually like to go roof lining and then run it down the A-pillar. The only issue with these ones is the cable's fairly short, okay? So we need to find somewhere sort of within that cable reach, right? It's like about 1.5 meters. So I'll do that. And then lastly, you've got 2 USB ports. These are USB inputs. So one's going to be for CarPlay, Android Auto. It does wireless CarPlay, wired Android Auto. And the other one's going to be just a secondary input. Okay, again, pretty short, so you can run those wherever you want. What I'm going to do, I'm going to run this microphone. I'm going to run USB inputs. Okay, and also just a side note, don't lose that. It's the Wi-Fi antenna for CarPlay. And once I've run those and I've neatened up this loom, I'm just going to tape it up with nice fabric tape, make it look clean. We'll come back and look at the next step. All right, so I've made a nice loom here. And there are some plugs that don't get used, so just leave them kind of bare, you know, tape them up if you have to. And what we'll do is just test everything, and if something doesn't work, we can go ahead and look at those plugs. USB we run into the glove box. Microphone has been run, that is hidden away, can't see it. And GPS antenna is done. And like I said before, grab your Wi-Fi antenna, look for Wi-Fi on the back of the unit here. Just go ahead and plug it in, or screw it on rather. Okay, another thing I measured up was these brackets. So when you put them on, if you turn them in such a way where they're sort of angled, like I have now, 4 line up, and then when you go ahead and put it in, all right, what should happen is they will line up with the factory positions, okay? Now you might have to muck around with them a little bit to get them perfect. Okay, just do the same on the other side as well. So I'll just show you what I mean. Play around so nothing lines up, boom, look at that, 4 line up. Okay, then screw it on. And then what I will do before mounting it, we will test, but I just wanted to line it up and get it nicely. Okay, we've got our brackets on. Now, obviously we're not gonna mount it, we do wanna test it first, so I can just go ahead and start plugging some things in. With these connections here that plug into the back, they only fit into one spot, with the exception of the microphone and the GPS and Wi-Fi. So what we'll do, we can plug that in, microphone, find the mic port. So this is how it looks at the back. So you've got Wi-Fi, GPS, microphone goes right there, and then like these are the plugs I was talking about, so that one there will only fit in one position, okay? So pop it in. Then what you've got, AV inputs. So if you want to add a video in, just any video in, you can go ahead and do that. Okay, back is a camera input, so reverse light input. That one don't know. You've got an AUX in left and AUX in right. You've got a normal reverse camera input, and you've also got a secondary camera input. So there's 3 video inputs in total, which is pretty cool. And if you did want to go ahead and add a subwoofer, you've got the outputs there. Okay, so you've got RCA rear left, RCA rear right, front right, front left, and 1 sub channel. So we are definitely going to have to go through and do some settings, that's for sure. Alright, so if you have a factory camera, you need to use this plug right here and the RCA, which is labeled camera. So that's for reverse camera. What I first assumed was the camera was hardwired within these plugs and that it would work through that and then potentially through the main harness. But when we put it into reverse, we had no signal. So you will have to do some hard wiring. It's not super hard. You've got to remove this airbag. Now that comes out with 2 bolts that hold it in. So 1, 2, there's actually 3, sorry. There's 1, 2, which line up 1, 2, and then 1 there. That pulls straight out. Don't unplug it, otherwise you'll get an airbag fault. So that can just sit there. The panel underneath it just unclips as well. And then you can remove the glove box. Now that only has 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, and the whole thing pulls right down. And then you want to get in here and you want to locate this plug, which is the 40-pin connector, and it plugs right into that module right there. Okay, so that's the 40-pin connector. Pin number 40, which is a red wire, goes to video shield, so that's the center wire of the RCA. And the one right next to it is grey, that's a shield wire. And so that's just an RCA that we've chopped. And on the other end, so it's about 1 meter long, 1.5 meters, it runs to here. So it plugs in here, runs up along with the factory looms, over to here. We've chopped it, and the center wire goes to red, shield goes to grey. If that doesn't make sense, just drop a comment below. And I've already tested that and it works. So what I'm going to do is tidy all this up, put all this back together, get back to where we were before, and continue the testing process. The unit is in. This is how we've decided to make it sit. We've got flush at the top, and then it does come down and it is a little bit recessed at the bottom. I tried a few different ways of mounting, and the way that it wants to sit, it sort of forces itself into this position when you screw it in. So that's fine. Customer looked at it, we're both happy with it. Now we did have an issue with sound. Okay, sounds great. Now what you need to do is go console, amp, and here's your amp settings, okay? So current volume was on 0. We put it up to 30. 7.7 bass and all those up, okay? And then you've got the surround on, the mute switch, the beeper, all that sort of stuff, okay? Cool. So that is basically set. Now once that is set, you can go back, and then right at the top here, you've got navigation. Now you can change the path of that, so you can have that app actually open up whatever you want. And just a little side note, we can go into reverse. Brings up the camera like I showed you earlier. Radio is obviously radio. Music you can store on the device. Videos you can store on the device. DSP is your sound. So your amplifier settings, but they're aftermarket, it's not factory. The factory amp settings are in console. Then you've got Bluetooth and phone link, and now you can press and hold on any of these and you can rearrange them. So what I normally do is I put phone link, or car auto rather, car auto is your CarPlay, over here instead of navigation. But just to show you what you're going to do, okay, so you're going to go Bluetooth, you're going to open up your settings. This is iPhone only, Android Auto, you've got to plug it into the USB. Okay, you're going to look for BT1 DC1, boom, it's already come up, and we're going to pair to that network. Okay, once that pairs, keep your phone handy because you're going to need it. Then you're going to go home, you're going to go over to apps. These are all the apps that you've downloaded and apps you can go ahead and download. You're going to open Z-Link, and it's going to say connecting, just like that. Then hit use CarPlay on your phone. Okay, then it will bring up your phone, it'll say connected, and there you go. You've got Apple CarPlay. This is how you're going to be able to use all of your apps on the screen from your phone. Not YouTube and Netflix. This is only licensed by Apple, so Waze, WhatsApp, Spotify, Google Maps. Okay, so if we go Spotify here, go ahead and just play some music. Make sure we've got sound. Okay, got some old school Akon. Then you can go back, and that is CarPlay. So if we go home, we're out of CarPlay. You can go over to Car Auto, and if you noticed before it wasn't colored in, now it's colored, and that'll bring up your Apple CarPlay right there. Then you go home, and then other than that, you've got your file manager. In here is all of the settings for the unit, and then you can go ahead and add in a USB, and then when you add a USB, all your USB contents will come up right here. And that's pretty, as an overview, that's pretty much it. Things start getting pretty crazy when you go and go to the Play Store. So what you're going to do, you're going to go settings, more settings. These are the Android settings, okay? So this is where we're actually going to set our time and day. So we're not in China. Can you guess where we are? You're about to find out. Can't even spell where we are. There we go. And we'll use Sydney time. So it says it's 13:12. It's 1:12 on my phone, so that looks good to me. We've got our time and date set. Beautiful. Okay, now back to what I was saying. Network. Wi-Fi on. From here, you can go ahead, connect your either hotspot from your phone or a hotspot in the car, and connect to that network. It'll then give this device internet access. Once you've got internet, you can go ahead to Play Store. You can go and download. You can log in. So first you need to have internet, then you can log in, download Netflix, YouTube, Waze if you want. You can download any app you want and use it on the screen. Okay, that's why a lot of people love these displays, these Android screens. But you need internet. So if you turn your hotspot off and you got no internet, you can't go here and then YouTube. Obviously it's not going to load, there's no internet. You can use CarPlay, right? Because your phone's connected. Why did it kick me off CarPlay? Because I turned Wi-Fi on. This Wi-Fi, device can connect to one Wi-Fi network at a time, and same as your phone. So you can either be CarPlay, which runs through Wi-Fi, or hotspot. Or you can get an external hotspot connected to the internet and then leave that connected to CarPlay, and they'll both work. I know it's a bit in-depth, but anyway, if that doesn't make sense, just drop a comment below. Basically, in short, you can use CarPlay wirelessly and internet data. And that's pretty much it. So all that's left, now we've got sound working, steering wheel controls work, factory camera works, all of these buttons are all working, okay. What we can do is we're going to go ahead and reassemble the vehicle. Now this is just going to go in the same order that it came apart. So we're going to start with sliding in these panels on the sides, screw them in, slide this panel in, pop it down, not forgetting our this little panel here. I'm pretty sure that still gets used. In fact, it might not. We'll find out in a minute. I'll let you know. So I'll get that done and we'll see how it looks. So that factory panel does get kept there, okay? Look at that, wow, it's tight. And that is the system completely installed. If you have any questions regarding the system or the installation, drop a comment below. Pretty straightforward installation, nothing overly hard, just that camera wiring, which we did look at earlier. The screen will be linked on our website, so that'll be the first link in the description. Of course, subscribe to the channel, like the video. I'll catch you guys in the next one.